After 20 years of building together through dust, deadlines, and damn good ideas, Pace and Adam invite you to join them for honest conversations about the home building world. Welcome to Build Connected, where experience meets insight, powered by Diamond Home Restoration.
Hey guys, welcome back to Build Connected. I'm Pace.
And I'm Adam.
Episode 25, Adam. We made it here. It's been a fun journey. And like we did on episode 20, today is going to be sitting down with a guest, which is going to be super fun. But before we get into that, how was your weekend?
Oh, we're going to talk about my weekend.
I always like to check in and see how you're doing.
I thought you
it's
wanted
one
to
of my biggest
bypass
priorities.
that. A lot of soccer. My kids are big into the sports right now, so it's taking over my entire life. So I'm driving to Santa Rosa. I'm driving to Petaluma, some local if I'm lucky. But yeah, I could be in the car for 2 hours just driving to a soccer tournament each way, and the next thing you know, it's dinner time. So that was my weekend. I do enjoy the games, but
You're adulting. You're playing the role of an adult on TV. That's what you're doing.
Thanks, buddy.
This week, we're in the midst of Fire Prevention Month, which is a national thing. Gets a lot of focus here in California. And our guest today is going to talk on that subject. It's somebody that we work closely with, and we're psyched that they're here. Adam, bring him on in.
Yeah, well, we find ourselves using a lot of different products for WUI areas, which is our wild urban interface areas where we have to use fire resistant materials. And one of those materials is TimberTech decking, which we use on most all of our jobs now. So without further ado, I want to introduce Jake, who is the area sales rep for TimberTech, and welcome him to the show. How's it going, Jake?
Hey fellas, it's good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate you guys having me on, and and also appreciate you guys using TimberTech. And let's not forget that there's some ads running out there that you two fine gentlemen are a part of too.
Yeah, I'm getting calls from my buddies on the East Coast. They're like, "Hey, man, I was just watching the Phillies game, and you just came on. I thought I heard a familiar voice." But the kicker was my buddy was in Colorado watching the Broncos play live, and I came up on the jumbotron. And
No, dude,
yeah, I'm like, what is going on here? Anyway,
I've had people
it,
reach out to me that I haven't talked to in like 40 years.
that's
It's
great.
bananas.
That's great. And it's funny because that same project that we did with you guys, my family owns a vineyard here in Napa Valley, and we did something similar with them. Like we redid their deck out there, and my wife and I were watching. I can't remember what sporting event it was. It was probably March Madness or something like that. We're at a bar downtown, and all of a sudden on all the TVs around the bar pops up the TimberTech ad, and then there's this drone shot of your guys' project, and then there's the drone shot of our vineyard, and I'm like, there's a full bar here, and nobody knows that that's right up the street, and that's ours, and that's so it's one of those things that it's such a cool feeling. Like I don't know if I'd ever want to chase that feeling of being on TV, but this is that's a good close second for me,
yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, I'm still waiting for those checks to roll in, but nothing's showing up in the mail yet for those commercials.
Same, but I wasn't on any of them, so I don't think I got any residuals. So if you need me to check on that for you, Adam, I can.
That was good fun. So we use your TimberTech decking on most of our decking projects, and there's so many different flavors that you guys offer. There's composite decking, there's PVC decking, and each has a different fire resistant rating and different colors and so many great things. So many great products you guys are always coming out with. Is there anything new and exciting in the TimberTech world that's coming to the forefront? Anything you want to break out to the people maybe that's not out there or that you're just excited about that exists right now?
Totally, totally. One of those things, we're constantly in R&D. Like our R&D department is in full torque. One of the things that I chose to be a quote unquote specialist on for the state of California and the Southwest region is and this product's been out for about a year and a half now. It's our aluminum framing. You guys are probably familiar with the Fortress steel framing. What we did is we produced powder coated aluminum framing that's coming from SoCal. You guys know better than anybody out there that the quality of pressure treated the last couple decades has gone right? It's engineered, it's grown in, 5 to 7 years, and it's grown quickly, and then they cut it down. And, I remember being in, classes as a kid, and you guys probably remember this too, and they teach you how to read the age of a tree, right? You cut it down, you look at those rings, and you can see years where you had good growth, you can see years where you didn't have great growth, where you had good moisture, things like that. And like I said, you guys know better than anybody, that material's still drying. There's still the treatment to it that's still embedding into the board. So what we're trying to do is, number one, get ahead of fire code for the state of California, but for the entire country as a whole. So powder coated aluminum, it doesn't spark when you cut it, so there's no fire mitigation needed on site. If someone's working with steel framing and you're making your cuts, and you're in a high risk fire zone, somebody's got to stand there with a fire extinguisher, right? Or you got to have fire department nearby, whatever. And then the install time of our aluminum framing is about 30% to 40% quicker than steel framing or pressure treated framing, because you're able to make all your cuts for your joists at once, put your joist hangers on, and then you don't have as many mechanically fastened points like you do with pressure treated, where you have to put in 7, 8 fasteners at each hanger, and then once you do that process, then you guys have to level it out and pull out your laser levels and make sure there's no points where the deck is, roller coastering, anything like that, before you put your material down. So number one, we're getting ahead of fire code. Number two, we are getting ahead of the quality of pressure treated these days. And then we're trying to make the install a little bit quicker and easier for the pros like yourself, right? So kind of eliminating some steps, mainly that planing out and that leveling of the deck surface that can take you guys a
Yeah,
while.
I love the idea of that product. We've never used it, and I would love to use it. I mean, we're installing your decking, right, that outlives pressure treated lumber, right? So it makes sense to have your framing material, be have the same lifespan as the actual decking material. Uh,
Exactly.
and
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 that
to have that nice level surface, right? I mean, the malleability of your decking, it gets noodly, right? Which is why if we're using a PVC product of yours, you guys require 12-inch on center spacing of joists, but if it's the composite, it's your standard 16 on center. But with the metal framing and metal joist system, man, it must give you a super level surface. What sort of like, is there in terms of cost, like, is it much more expensive? I mean, it's different market to market, I'm sure, but do you find that you're comparable to wood joists, or you double the price, 10% more?
Great question, Adam. It's and to be honest, and hopefully this answer doesn't scare some people away that watch your guys' podcast. It is about 20 to 30% higher than your pressure treated. But what we've seen, and more specifically after the fires in LA almost a year ago, we've seen a lot of attention on insurance companies saying, "Hey, we're going to cancel your homeowner's insurance if you don't get ahead of this, and if you don't put down they call it hardening of the home, right? You guys know that. So, putting a decking that down that has Class A flame spread, and then also the framing. We are currently doing some price studies with some of our pros across the country, just for those generic questions of 500 square feet, 1,000 square feet. How much quicker is this install time? And we're actually timing people, and then we're putting that into cost savings, financial cost savings for you guys, so that it makes more sense. So for homeowners, it is a little bit higher priced, but just like you alluded to in the last segment, Adam, we're putting our PVC decking as a 50-year stain and fade limited lifetime performance warranty. The way I live my life, if I were to have a TimberTech deck on my home, it would probably outlive me, right? So with that being said, it's been paramount for homeowners and insurance to see that homeowners are taking that step to harden their home, and that do it right this time, right? And we are seeing that happen more and more, because get down the road, if you just replace your deck and it's 2025 and you're in a class B or you're in a class C zone, chances are, global warming is a thing. Chances are that those regulations and those restrictions are going to get tighter in your zones. And so the way we sell it, the way we pitch it is, let's do this right now so that you don't have to do it 5 or 10 years down the road, and then you have to do a full rebuild, and then it's another 80 to 100K or
Yeah,
whatever that cost can be.
you touched on
I mean, when I
regulation.
hear all that, like two things come to mind for me. Like on the pack end, not having to carry that PV that pressure treated in and have that stink all over you, getting rid of that is giant for me. And then here in California, I don't know how much the rest of the country is dealing with this yet, but it's nearly impossible to dispose of PT lumber in California. So, we don't have to do that anymore, and that's a giant victory. I'm really curious, like when you talk about like staying ahead of the regulation, like how that applies nationally. Like I know the regulation moves pretty fast and is at the forefront in California, but nationally, like how do all these advances apply?
Yeah, so great question, Pace. I'm from Colorado, right? I've been in California for 6 years now. My folks have been here for almost 20. Uh, I grew up around wildfires. It was just a way of life, as going back as long as I can remember. Every summer there's a wildfire nearby, and one of the beautiful things of America is that there are plenty of different climates around the region, right? Where I come from, Colorado, California, Oregon, Washington, Boise, Arizona, these areas where you have not much moisture during the summer. I spent a summer living in Tulsa, Oklahoma when I interned for the Dodgers. God, it feels 7 or 8 years ago now. Where they don't have high risk fire zones out there, but there's radiant moisture and there's moisture in the air constantly. They don't have fire high risk fire zones like we do out here. So to answer your question, this is something that started for us in SoCal, more specifically in San Diego, with fires starting down there. And what we've found is, once AZEC bought TimberTech 12, 15 years ago, whatever that was, and we started producing a PVC deck board. What we found with that was that we're not putting any organic material into the PVC boards, like our composite boards, like what you have at your home, Adam, or what you guys did on the project in Sonoma. That was composite, right? So there's a little bit different mixture and makeup of the board. So in certain areas of the country, like where we get into Kansas, Arkansas, you get into Louisiana, you get into Iowa, where those areas where there's not as many high risk fire zones, we sell more of our composite products than we do our PVC products, right? But in California, this is the land of decking out here. We sell PVC decking hand over fist, compared to our composites. And then from that point on, we just decided to expand on it more and more. And then we had about 6 colors, or no, we had 9 colors, 10 colors that were being produced. Just in the 4 years since I've been with the company, we have added 6 more colors to the PVC line and deleted none. So we've added 2 new PVC lines. We added one this year, one 2 years ago, Landmark and Harvest Plus, and each one has a different grain pattern. Each one has the Class A flame spread, and then we still have the entry level PVC that just gets a Class B flame spread rating, so you can have that more price conscious option for a homeowner and an end user.
Yeah, so what
Nice.
do you say to the homeowner that really likes a certain color, but it's composite, it's not the PVC, and they're in a fire zone, and they're kind of like, oh man, do I just not go with the color that I like because I should be going with this PVC, or I'm okay being in a WUI zone and getting this composite?
Those are conversations I have a lot. Sometimes it's bringing that value and educating your homeowner and saying, "Hey, I know where you live. This is a hotbed fire zone. If you want to get ahead of this, I would recommend using, these 4 colors in composite that are WUI approved, or using PVC that are going to give you that 100% peace of mind that if insurance comes, they're going to see you use TimberTech. You're going to be good to go with your homeowner's insurance, and they're not going to force anything upon you."
Nice. So I guess if you're a homeowner looking at TimberTech products, you should be looking at your PVC boards if you want that 100% WUI approved material. Otherwise, you do make your composite boards, and out of those composite boards, there are a small handful that are WUI approved and some aren't. So I guess just think about those options as you're kind of looking through their stuff.
Yes, absolutely. And we have colors for everybody. So, one of the things that I admire about going back to our R&D department is uh, going back to COVID, we started researching flooring trends, flooring designs, grain patterns, some of that that reclaimed market that's out there, and that reclaimed look, kind of like what you have behind you there, Adam. We've come up with a lot of grain patterns and new textures to appease everybody. So I like to think that there's something out there for everybody, whether it's PVC or composite. But when you guys are making that distinction, let's make sure we do the research on if you live in a high risk fire zone or not first, right?
Yes.
We always like to sort of tie things together with something fun or interesting that's happening on a project. Last couple of months, any projects stand out for you that really put a smile on your face?
Yes, yes. One thing I've tried to do this last year and a half is really try to empower you guys, the pros, to take your craftsmanship and your artistic ability, take it to my material and have fun, right? So some of the things that we're seeing more and more prevalent, we have our PVC material, you can heat bend it. So if you have a radius that you have a curved radius on some stairs on a deck, you can accomplish that with our PVC material and not just have a square, cookie cutter look to it. One thing that I'm moving guys towards is they'll take their routers and they'll notch out a 45 out of the bottom of a board.
We do it. We do it. We do it.
Guys do it. Then they can heat bend it, and then they get a rolled edge sort of waterfall look with a board. I had a contractor in Oakland that he got so sick of fixing miters that he did 4 steps off of this hot tub. Each stair tread and then toe kick was one board that rolled over, and then did a stair tread and then rolled over again. I'm like, how exact did your measurements have to be with that, and your cuts? I'm like, that's incredible. And then to piggyback on that, we just finished a project in San Francisco, and you guys know how San Francisco is. Everything's tight, 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 right? And there you'll have 18 inches between these 3 townhomes and this next set of 3 or 4 townhomes. We did a whole remodel of the siding of this old cedar shake building right off of Noe Street, and they used about 6 truckloads of our material, tongue and groove, all 1x6, and then a mixture of the 1x4 and the 1x8 to trim out windows and things like that. Turned out great. It gave this old 60-year-old building that had this 20-year-old cedar shake on it. It gave it a complete revamp. And I remember showing up to this project after it's about halfway done, and I was just grinning from ear to ear because seeing where you started with weathered, cedar shake, it looks great. But then adding on our boards and then how well this contractor did with it, I lit up because those are the kind of things that I like to put a feather into my cap. Like, you know, we fixed that job. Like we fixed that home, and now look how gorgeous it looks. So anytime I see any contractors getting artistic and you guys using your craftsmanship, I get excited. And I'm also here to support that for anybody and for you guys in the market that want to do anything fun.
Nice. Yeah,
Well,
aside from all, what's that, Pace?
speaking of tight, we need to talk about that hat, which is a tight hat right there. And it needs to be part of our arsenal.
Yeah.
That is a sick hat.
I don't have one of those. You got one of those, Pace?
I don't have one yet.
We'll talk about that later.
I'll get you guys one. I'll be out in your guys' neck of the woods. Let's see here. I'll be out there next week. Maybe even sooner. So I got a couple different color offerings. I got are you guys like Pace? I know you're an East Coast guy. Are you a Patriots fan?
Oh my God, don't get the guy started. Look at his hat. He's got the Boston hat. It's one of 100 different hats. He has one for every day of the week.
Are you a Niners fan, Adam?
Go Birds. Does that mean anything to you?
Oh, and my
Come on.
Broncos, you guys last week, man. I'm
Philly,
sorry.
dude. Philly, they let me down last week, but that's a whole nother podcast, I think.
So anyways, I got a couple colors for you guys. So yes, I got some of these. I just got these made. So, and I had a coworker from San Diego work up the patch. So I think he did a pretty good job kind of putting that California feel, with our new logo and stuff like that.
Amazing.
So I got some for you guys. I'll bring some out for you guys this next week.
Right on,
Nice.
man. Well, listen, it's been awesome having you on. I feel like we have so many more questions and we can keep diving deeper into different products. Like we love, the AZEC product line that you rep too, and just so many great things that we've used on previous projects. We love the metal framing. We got to get into that on one of these projects as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, I don't know, Pace, anything else you wanna add as we wrap things up?
No, thank you. That's it.
All right.
Thank you guys for having me, man. This is really cool. I was didn't tell my wife that I guess I'm a podcaster now. I didn't have that intention.
Yeah.
We'll
Another great
we'll
week.
we'll do it again. Yeah, we'll have you on again as this was an important month for us. It's fire month, so we wanted to tap into
Yeah,
you guys a little
yeah.
bit. So
And we did the I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. We did the uh, Ember Stomp event with Marin Fire Safe in September. We had homeowners that were approaching us because they're saying that Allstate was saying spec TimberTech. State Farm was saying spec TimberTech. So if you guys want to do another one of these, I'd be more than happy, and we can kind of focus it on like some aluminum framing or the PVC.
Well, thanks for joining us on Build Connected. I'm Pace.
and I'm Adam.
And I'm Jake from TimberTech, not from State Farm.
See ya.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks for joining us on Build Connected. For more stories, insights, and ideas, visit diamondhomerestoration.com or find us on Instagram and LinkedIn. We'll be back next week. We hope you will too.